President Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, is in U.S. District Court right now as day one in the first trial related to the special counsel Robert Mueller gets underway. Manafort faces financial fraud charges tied to money he received from a Russia-backed political party in Ukraine.
If he's convicted, Manafort could serve life in prison. The issue of the Trump campaign's possible collusion with Russia is not expected to be part of this trial. But the president tweeted earlier today, quote, "Collusion is not a crime, but that doesn't matter because there was no collusion." Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, was asked today why the president made that point.
He's also told you that there is no collusion, and you full well know that even the judge in the Manafort trial in Virginia has instructed them, not to mention collusion, not to mention Russia, not to mention the campaign, has nothing to do with it.
CBS News Washington correspondent Paula Reed caught up with Manafort's attorney outside the courthouse this morning. She asked if Manafort is thinking about cooperating with the special counsel. Listen.
Any chance that he may decide to flip and cooperate?
No chance.
No chance?
CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman joins us now to talk about this. All right, so what can you tell us about what we can expect to hear today and the charges that Manafort is facing?
Right now, you're looking at jury selection. We're not sure how long that is going to take, but Judge Ellis runs a very tight courtroom, so I don't expect it to take a long time. The trial is set for 3 weeks, though Judge Ellis has said, I think you can finish it in 2. And we will look at 35 witnesses who are going to be called by the prosecution, including 5 who have gotten immunity, all of which sounds like this is going to be really exciting, except for the fact that if you are actually inside the courtroom, this is what we call a paper case. This is cut and dried. We're looking at charges of bank fraud. We're looking at charges of tax fraud, and they are going to ultimately be proved up by following a paper trail.
So this is not about Russia collusion or any of that sort of stuff. It's a fraud case, but Paul Manafort's business partner, Richard Gates, will be testifying against him. How is that likely to impact this case?
Well, I think Rick Gates is likely to impact this case, as well as Paul Manafort's later case in September in the District of Columbia, as well as the public and how it perceives the so-called Russia collusion investigation. Rick Gates worked for Paul Manafort. He was there for much of the activities, not only in this case, going all the way back to 2006, but he also goes with Manafort to the Trump campaign, and he stays later on. What you have to remember here is that this is a test for Rick Gates. How credible is he going to be here, and does that tell us something about how credible he's going to be in the future? The biggest person who gets tested here is not Paul Manafort, because we expect him to be convicted in this case. It would actually be shocking if he were not convicted. But the real question is this. If on that chance that Paul Manafort is not convicted, this is a real blow to Robert Mueller, because this is the first case brought by the special counsel's office, even though it's not about Russia collusion.
So the judge has argued, perhaps, or he's made a point that this does not fall under the jurisdiction of the special counsel, Robert Mueller's investigation. Does it? Well,
ultimately, he decided that it did. He made a lot of noise, and of course the president, and I can't say as I blame him, jumped on that first hearing when Judge Ellis...
He was tweeting about it.
President Trump tweeted about it. Judge Ellis had made comments, thought it was way beyond the purview of the special counsel to go back into Paul Manafort's finances all the way back to 2006. But the judge ultimately ruled for the government and decided that in the process of the Mueller investigation, of looking at acts of Russian collusion, that if there were ties of Paul Manafort to Russia that resulted in financial transactions, even if they are before the campaign, that it should be looked at. Interestingly enough, there is a juicy little tidbit in this paper case, and that is when Paul Manafort is dealing with the banks. He's looking to inflate the value of his properties in order to get loans, because the person who he had backed, the party who he had backed in Ukraine, the pro-Russia Federation, that party goes away. and the person he had backed flees to Russia. So his money train has now stalled. So he needs more money. So we've gone through the tax evasion because he's never reported the money he's made to the degree he's made it. And now we're in bank fraud land. So there is a gentleman from a bank who knows he's inflating the value of properties. He agrees to the fraudulent loan for what? He wants a position in the Trump campaign and ultimately in the Trump administration. He does get the position in the campaign. He never gets a position in the administration.
Is he one of the named witnesses?
We know who he is, and certainly Paul Manafort knows who he is. But the reality is, it's just the only salacious tidbit I can think of in 2 or 3 weeks of following the paper.
Oh, but that's a good tidbit, I think.
It is
indeed.
indeed.
It was pretty interesting to me.
Rikki Klieman with the tidbit. I like it. Thank you, Rikki.
Thank you.